welcome back to the Cheap channel, the channel dedicated to all things cheap in the world of fragrances. In today's video, we are looking at 5 fragrances that are signature worthy, meaning that they are things that you can wear all day, all year round, any season, for any occasion, and that they are signature worthy, meaning that you can make these the main one that you wear. Even if you don't have anything else, you can have this one and wear it, and it will fit anything that you need. It will announce your presence beforehand. It'll become like your identity, that when people smell it, they'll immediately think of you. Even if they don't see you around, they'll smell it and be like, ooh, I know that's so-and-so. He must be somewhere around here because I recognize that scent. Any of these can be that signature fragrance to you, and they are all very inexpensive. All of them you can find easily under $40. One of them could be a little questionable depending on where you look and at what time of the year, but I have seen it for very low price. So let's go ahead and get into it with this first one here. It is Maison Alhambra's Jean Lo Immortal, or you might see it rebranded now as Immortal. So this is a clone fragrance like what Maison Alhambra usually does. It is meant to clone a much higher, more expensive fragrance. More likely you already know what this one's about, but just in case you don't, this is a clone of Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité. This is a very citric forward, spicy, aromatic, warm, ambery fragrance. You have things like ginger, which gives it that very top note front spiky spiciness, along with a lot of bergamot and a lot of other citrus behind it, like grapefruit, very noticeable on that. And then you quickly get into some aromatics, you get things like clary sage, you get things like even some watery notes to give it a little bit of freshness. And it warms down being some ambers, some labdanum, and you get a good heavy dose of ambroxan. There's a lot of different fragrances that are similar to this that also clone L'Immensité, but even things like Bulgari's Tigar or things that clone that fragrance are going to be very similar to this. So really not just this one in particular, but anything that follows this style and this scent profile, like I said, Tigar or things like it, or things like L'Immensité, any of those that smell like this are going to be signature worthy. They work all year round, any season. To me, the spices actually come out way more in this version, and my wife actually smells it and thinks it smells Christmassy because the spices are so high. It smells like there's more than just ginger in this, so apparently she thinks this is a holiday fragrance, so you might even wear it in the holiday season or outside of it. I've had this to work very well from spring all the way through fall. I think even wintertime will work well. Performance on this is really, really good. You get a great projection for the first hour and a half, and the sillage on this and how it smells in the air is just gorgeous. Absolutely so good. And longevity on this is easily 8 hours, if not more. I've had this to be on my clothes even the next day when I put them on or smell them to hang them up. It is a very long lasting, especially with how amber heavy it is. It really holds to you. And as usual with Middle Eastern fragrances and clones, especially from the house of Lattafa and Maison Alhambra, after you introduce oxygen to it and it macerates for a while, it just gets even better. I've had this macerating, I think, since last year when I got it after it came out and people were hyping it up. So I have it before the rebrand. It just smells so good. It's had a whole year just to sit and macerate, marinate, and just bask in it, and it smells incredible. Super high quality, way better than the price point that I originally picked this up at, which is another thing to talk about, that this is varying prices as you look now, especially since they rebranded it. I've seen it up until like the mid-30s, and I've seen it even into the mid-20s, like when I first got this. So it's going to be varying depending on where you look at, but still, if you find it under $40, it's very well worth it. Super high quality, very smooth, well-rounded. Just amazing compound in this. Has a little bit of a matured masculine feel to it, a little throwback, but also modern at the same time. It just smells classic. As I love wearing this on dates. It just has that warmth and just aura about it. It just smells absolutely incredible. So highly suggest this one. And like I said, if not this one, things like this. But it is the first one in the list. Again, it is Jean Lo Immortal. The second one here is one that I've had for a little while. I've had it since April, really liked it. Was looking for the perfect time to talk about it. And I thought, why not make a signature list and put this in there because it fits perfectly. And it's one you don't see talked about a whole lot, even though the brand is really good. It is this one, Chopard's 1000 Miglia. So Chopard is a brand that is really high quality for what they put out. You find a lot of them very cheap at discounters, especially from their Miglia line. They have a super niche quality to that line. I'm trying to get some of those in when I get the chance, but this is one you don't see talked about a whole lot. It's like a racing kind of edition one. There's also an extreme version of this, but I think that's been discontinued and very hard to find, but still this one is really good. What you're gonna get with this is a very woodsy, aromatic, a little bit earthy, leathery, and slightly sweet fragrance. There's an interesting note in here of asphalt, which I guess gives that racing vibe to it. And actually, if you spray enough of this on when you first apply it and you look for it, you can really smell that asphalt note, that almost sweet, tar but earthy, rubbery kind of feel. It has a good bit of a violet note and lavender, a little powdery as well. Very much a modern masculine fragrance, perfect for office wear, casual, everyday, classed up or down. Like I said, perfect signature, which is why it's in this list. It's good for any time of the year, all around, day or night, and it's very professional smelling. Like I said, that leather note in here also adds into that race car kind of vibe. So a little bit of a smooth leather clean, a little bit of an ambery warmth to it as it's drying down with a coffee note, which isn't too noticeable, but unless you spray it up, I think it adds with that sweetness and that roasted kind of factor, along with that earthy, almost bitter quality. But altogether, it's wonderfully blended. It's not going to be the best performing though, I've found. I think maybe after it macerates for a while, it might get better because I've only had this since April, but I noticed that it has done a lot better recently than it did when I first got it, but still, it's about average, maybe a little under in projection and longevity, maybe an hour or so in medium projection. Then after that, it gets very close to the skin, and longevity is about like 5 or 6 hours. So not too good, but not terrible either, but still through and through, it's a wonderful quality, great blend, super nice. Like I said, modern masculinity, has a very almost bad boy, but professional, cleaned up bad boy kind of vibe to it. It's super, super good. And I would say if you can find the extreme version to try it out, I'm gonna try it out. But if not, this is perfectly fine. I first picked this up from Joma Shop for like $14, $15, super, super cheap. So highly suggest finding this if you can. And like I said, all the Chopard stuff are really good quality for a really good price. And I'm really trying to see what more I can find from them, but this is a really good start, and I would highly recommend it because it does not get talked about at all anywhere that I've seen. So maybe we can get a trend going of talking about this one and giving it the love that it deserves. And it is this one here, Chopard's 1000 Miglia. The third one here is one that you are gonna see at some point on this channel because it's talked about everywhere across the fragrance community, especially among cheapie channels. I know especially Rost from TOTG Reviews loves this, and Dustin from the Fragrance Fan channel loves this one. And he actually was the one, I watched one of his videos, decided I have to get it eventually, so I got it, and I really do like it. It is a almost blue king in the cheapie community, and it's not talked about a whole lot or appreciated except among us here, but I really like it. It is this one here, Rost Loam. So I really can't say too much about this that hasn't been said already, so I'm just gonna give you my gist on it. This is a wonderful aromatic, powdery, slightly earthy, but sweet, fresh, a little citric, almost aquatic kind of style fragrance. It has a good bit of tonka bean in this, which gives that sweet powderiness. You really notice the aromatics with that basil and that moss and patchouli in this. Again, getting a little bit of earthiness, but a little bit of a green kind of facet to it, but more of that aromatic, herbaceous side. And I do really notice the blood orange on the top, which gives it that kind of citric, almost fruity sweet, and that cardamom, which gives it that powdery, almost spiciness to it. It is a classic gentleman's masculine kind of style fragrance, very much a mature, professional, sophisticated kind of style. Super, super classy. I know Dustin from the Fragrance Fan channel says that this is like his church fragrance, and I can really see that too. It just has that sophisticated, stately kind of air about it, you know, good for formal gatherings and get-togethers, and good for office wear as well. Very professional smelling, non-offensive at all. This is very smooth, very well-rounded. Rost is just a wonderful company on the inexpensive side that makes things that are super good for that low price. My only thing with this, or at least with me, is that it's not a good performer on my skin. It doesn't seem to last that long, maybe about 4 or 5 hours before it really dissipates off. And projection is almost to an hour with a medium projection. The sillage is really good, but it really gets very intimate after that. And then, like I said, it just starts wearing off. Maybe if you overspray it, or maybe if I give it a little more time to macerate, it'll get better. But for me, it's just not the best performer, probably the lowest out of this list here, but still it is so good, really good quality. And like I said, perfect for signature wear. If you wear this enough, people are going to recognize it as your scent, and it's going to be your personality, be your vibe. It just really can be that forerunner for you, that people will notice it and then notice you, and gives you, like I said, that professional kind of vibe if you wear it right. But yeah, I would be remiss if I did not talk about this one. I'm so glad I got it in, and I really like it. So I'd recommend for you to try it too. It is Rost L'Homme. Now on to the fourth one, and it's the first one in the line that it's in that I've talked about on this channel. Eventually, I'm going to actually talk about the whole line of these. The whole line is just really good quality, and this one's no exception. And it's from a company that everyone in the fragrance community, especially among cheapie collectors, really respects and reveres. And I can't wait to introduce this one here. It is Bentley for Men, but the Black Edition. So the first Bentley for Men that we're talking about on the channel, like I said, I have the whole line of fragrances. I'm just going to get some time with them, and I'm actually going to do a whole review of the line later this year. But first, let's talk about this one here, which I think is the most versatile out of the line. So what you're going to get with this one is one that starts off being very fresh, almost watery, ozonic kind of freshness with some tangerine and a violet, which really helps to push almost that piercing freshness in here. There's no watery or aquatic notes in this, but it definitely has that facet to it. And then you get into some spiciness, things like nutmeg. I think there's pink pepper in here. And then you get into a good dose of woodiness. I know there's atlas cedar, there's papyrus, there's some earthy notes in here, which gives a little bit of that support to the woods. There's some sweet notes in here, noticeably a sweet but fresh sweet. Nothing too like honey-like, nothing piercing, nothing that is too overdosed. Just a nice natural sweetness, adding in almost a kind of muskiness, sweet musk to it. And of course, you do get some backgrounds like some powderiness in here. It has incense and tobacco, but I think it's more of a aromatic herbal kind of scent to it. But really, you can't pick out one specific note in this, which some people will say it's a bad thing, but I think in this case, it's really good. It shows it's very well blended, very smooth, very well rounded, and performance on this is not skimping out. This is a very loud performer. I'd say a good medium to loud projection for the first hour, and longevity is about 7 to 8 hours. I've had it last me a good whole work day. I have a friend of mine that wears this along with me at work, and it smells fantastic on him. And I notice it way more on him than I do me, because I guess I'm going nose blind to it, but it lasts all day with him. He wears it very, very well. So it smells super good, very well appealing. This is just a huge compliment getter as well because of that fresh sweetness with the woods and just the way that it draws in. It's super good, very, very clean smelling, by the way. It makes you smell well groomed, very well kept, as long as you actually keep yourself well kept, but it smells like you're well kept. Not really shower gel, but definitely has a blue fragrance kind of facet to it in a way, but way more classic than that, way more almost throwback in a way, but yet modern. Does not get talked about that much either in the fragrance community, so I think this deserves a lot more love. Then again, I guess if no one has really talked about this one, then you watching this would just keep this between us and make this our little secret weapon. And another thing about this one is the price. You can pick this up for very, very cheap at discounters. I mean, I think I picked this one up here for about like $26, $27 from Fragrance Buy for a full bottle, not a tester. At the time I got it, at least, and it was really, really good deal. And you probably could find the same deal if you look now either at Fragrance Buy or Fragrance Net, and who knows, maybe even Joma Shop will have a good one on it. So it's not that bad price at all. And if you do find that one for that even under $30 mark, do not hesitate to pick this up. This is just super good. Like I said, clean, classic, masculine, woody, almost earthy, sweet, super, super good. But again, highly, highly recommend this one. And since no one else is wearing it, you can pull this off and wear it and smell just as good right alongside with those who are wearing their Blue Chanels, Sauvages, YSLYs, Dylan Blues, all that, except you paid way less and smelling just as good and more unique. And it is this one here, Bentley for Men Black Edition. Now on to the fifth and last one, and is one that, again, you would have seen eventually on this channel. It doesn't get talked about a whole lot like some of these here, but I do see it talked about a little more from specific channels, and when I do see it talked about, it is just universally loved and adored, and I'm right along with it and feel the same way. And it is this one here, Missoni's Pour Homme Parfum. So sadly, Missoni only has 2 fragrances for men that they have released, Missoni Wave, which I've talked about before, and this one here, Missoni Pour Homme Parfum, which is still fine because this one makes up for all the space in between because of how versatile it is and with how amazing it is. So with this one, a lot's been said that you might already know, but this has a lot of similarities to Bleu de Chanel by Chanel, especially the EDT and EDP. It's like a combination of those, but I do think it has a little bit of a spin on that. It's a little similar, but not exactly the same, and also way cheaper, which is a more reason to get this one. So this is going to give you a good base of woodiness. 3 different kinds of woods. You get things like birch and oak and sandalwood, but on top of that, you get a lot of citrus on the top, a little bit of spiciness. I know you're getting things like grapefruit right along the same that, you know, Bleu de Chanel has. You also get lemon, and you get a hefty dose of lavender, which to me gives a good bit of a masculine lean, but it also makes it very powdery. In my opinion, this is a super powdery fragrance, more so than anything else in this list. And so it's like a powdery, woody fragrance with that lavender. You also do get a little bit of aromatics in here, and it also does have a little bit of a kind of spiciness to it. I know there's a ginger note in here, which may add a little bit to it, but even aside from that, it has just a little bit of a spicy, powdery feel, which also to me gives it a little bit of a throwback, almost retro kind of feel with the way the lavender comes across, but it adds a good bit of mature masculinity to it. But younger guys can still pull this off just as well, but I think that mature guys will really appreciate this. Guys like 25 years or older, middle age, you'll really appreciate how this is. It kind of has that air of, you know, you're just very professional, very cleaned up, liked how the Bentley had as well, but like in an authority position, that you're a boss or a CEO and that you're over a bunch of people, you know what you're talking about, you have everything put together, you know exactly where you're going. Just the only thing with this one is that I found performance isn't the best on me. I know it's a parfum concentration, which lends itself to being more longer lasting than it is loud projecting, but I do find that I get a fairly good bit of projection, you know, medium for the first like 45 minutes or so, then it quickly becomes a skin scent, and sometimes I think I won't smell it lasting more than 4 hours, but recently I wore this and I smelled it even into the middle to end of the day, going into 7-8 hours, and even smelled it on my clothes the next day. So I think it might depend on if you get a anosmic to it or not, if it's overpowering, how much you spray, you know, is something going on with your nose that day, sinuses, things like that, you know, or even just the maceration and the aging of the bottle, if it's more concentrated or if it's blending together more over time, things like that. But still, it's a wonderful fragrance, and like I said, perfect for office wear if it's not going to be that loud projecting and more close and intimate, and it's very soft, like I said, that powder lavender woody feel, then I think it'd fit perfect for those kind of intimate settings. But like I said at the beginning, that there was one that the price could be iffy on, it would be this one. I think it's still overall cheap, especially compared to a lot of other things, especially compared to the quality that it is at, but it is varying depending on where you can find this at. I found this small bottle at a TJ Maxx 2 years ago, but it was like almost $30, maybe $35. So it just depends on where you're looking and how you're getting it. You may find it even cheaper online or at certain discounters, but as long as it's under that $40 mark, I think you're still getting a really good buy with this. Good deal, because the quality on this is just fantastic. I wouldn't even see needing Bleu de Chanel or anything like it if you can get your hands on this one, because this just smells more mature and is cheaper priced. It may not be as good performing depending on what you're getting out of this one, but still not bad at all. And I recommend this to anyone who wants a signature that is that masculine maturity, but yet still have a little bit of a modern feel, but more in that I guess, authority kind of figure kind of deal, if I can say it like that rightly. But absolutely love it, and can't wait to wear more of it. Highly recommend this one here, Missoni Pour Homme Parfum. And here they are, guys, my 5 signature worthy cheapies that I think that if you don't know what else to wear, you can always pick out any of these and spray it on no matter where you're going, what time of the year, how hot, how cold, whether day or night, no matter what, any of these will work perfect for any of those occasions that if nothing else works, these will always work. And again, under $40 for any of these, and their quality levels are way above the price points that they're at, way more. They're super good, very well blended, and most of them from really respected houses. So if you get your hands on any of these, or if you already have these, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. What other fragrances do you suggest that you think are perfect signatures that you would wear every day, any day, and that would get you noticed anytime, and that people would remember you from, that when you wear it enough that they'll know, oh hey, that's so-and-so, I recognize that, and that they would love it. I love hearing from you guys. I love reading your comments and trying to answer back when I can. I just love the community and that back and forth. And if you all enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up, liking the video, just to let me know. And if you're watching this video and you happen to not be subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing, giving some support, even hitting that notification bell so you'll know when I post shorts throughout the week or even new videos, maybe even some extra stuff later on in the future. There's a lot of things that I have planned, and I would love to have you run along with me, and hopefully I can help you discover something new as well. And as usual, guys, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you again for being right here with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see all of you again in the next video. Be blessed.